Yes, hello to everybody who is joining in for the live session today. Today, we are going to talk about goal setting, and we have Dr. Neha Bhave Salankar with us. We are actually going to discuss, Neha, this is the New Year's Eve. Now, what happens is normally everybody on New Year has this New Year resolution. तो क्या होता है जैसे जिम में मेंबरशिप बढ़ जाती है, डाइटिशियन के पास लोग ज्यादा जाने लगते हैं. सो ये जो न्यू ईयर के टाइम पे हम एक गोल सेट करने की कोशिश करते हैं, एवरीबडी हैज अ गोल, बट हाउ मेनी पीपल रियली अचीव इट? So tell us something about your experience, like what is this goal setting and how is it different from an action plan?
Right. So, like you rightly said, this is typically a time jहाँ maximum log they make their New Year resolutions. It could be anything about, say, fitness or diet or learning a new skill. And full शुरुआत होती है on 1st of January, 2nd of January. But so many times we see with clients, in about 2-3 weeks, for most of them it fizzles out. मतलब they are not able to stick through with it. तो
Yes.
गोल ओरिएंटेशन अच्छा रहता है कि हमको करना है, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू एक्चुअली इम्प्लीमेंटिंग इट, जिसको हम एक्शन प्लान बोलते हैं, टू बी एबल टू एक्चुअली टॉक आउट अ पाथ कि हमको ये कैसे करना है एंड हाउ वी नीड टू रीच द गोल, वो पार्ट पुअर रहने के कारण लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स पीपल कैन नॉट फॉलो थ्रू, right? But the right way to go about it is to initially, when you start off, take say about at least half an hour and write and plan out your entire goal for yourself. Write down to the smallest of detail. What this does is when you write things down, तो उससे एक थोड़ा level of conviction आपका increase हो जाता है, या level of commitment automatically increase हो जाता है. And when you're writing things down, you can always go back to it in the future for a reference. To go back and say, "Acha, okay, this is also what I wanted to do with that plan." There are different types of goals, so we talk about approach goals and avoidance goals. As the name suggests, approach goal is when you decide you want to do something. Like I want to exercise for X number of minutes. Avoidance goal is I want to avoid something. I don't want to eat this, or I don't want to meet this person. So oftentimes approach goals are easier, or rather more doable than avoidance goals. तो जितना हो सके अपना फोकस अप्रोच गोल्स के हिसाब से रखें, मतलब pick out things that you want to do rather than the ones that you want to avoid. That's more achievable.
सो जब हम कोई गोल सेट करते हैं तो क्या चीज का ध्यान रखना चाहिए? मतलब एक गोल सेट कैसे करना चाहिए, विच इज वेरी प्रैक्टिकल एंड क्लियर एंड अचीवेबल?
Right. So there's a very nice acronym for goal setting. It's called SMART goals. SMART. So things. S matlab it has to be specific. M matlab it has to be measurable. A refers to attainable. R is relevant, and T is time bound. Let's start with specific, the S of the SMART. So specific मतलब आप इस तरह के गोल्स अगर सेट करेंगे कि मुझे 2023 में आई वांट टू गेट फिटर, good idea, but it's a very vague goal. We can't really call it a goal. It's just an idea. So it has to be specific. So this is different for everybody. हर एक के targets, goals अलग हैं. But just to give you example, I want to increase my activity level by walking for half an hour after dinner, at night, like 4 times a week. So this is something very specific. Like I want to increase my physical activity. Which activity? Walking. For how long? 30 minutes. When? After dinner. How frequently? 4 times a week. So I am setting a very specific goal for myself, right? The फायदा क्या होता है that it's easier to track also whether or not I'm able to follow through on my goal. Second thing is measurable. M, SMART का M is measurable. So like I said, जब भी आप अपना goal set करते हैं, it has to be defined in such a way that you can measure how far you've been able to do it. So if I decide that I want to do Zumba classes 4 times a week, so I can mark 4 days of the week on the calendar. So that helps me track progress. That helps me measure कि okay, इस week में I've done them thrice a week, or in this week I've done them 4 times a week. So I can measure these changes. Right? We can get very creative when we are doing this kind of a goal setting. So for example, if I want to decide that this New Year, I want to reduce my stress. So again, it's a vague idea. So I can decide that I want to, in my working day, take 2 breaks of 10 minutes each, where I'm doing meditation or deep breathing. And then, I can make it a log or like a record कि जहाँ पे मैं मतलब date, time लिख रही हूँ. And also उसमें मैं ये भी record कर रही हूँ कि how I feel towards the end of the day. So that also tells me कि are these meditation or breathing breaks giving me the desired level of effects, or do I need to do something? I need to change its time. Do I need to increase the number of breaks? So you can get a little creative by how you're keeping track of how you are setting these goals, right? And
Okay.
also अगर आप इस तरह से गोल सेट कर रहे हैं ना, तो इट ऑल्सो हेल्प्स यू एडजस्ट देम कि अच्छा मुझे अगर मंडे वेडनेसडे फ्राइडे में रख रही हूँ बट कंसिस्टेंटली मेरा वेडनेसडे मिस हो रहा है, सो देन आई मेक इट मंडे थर्सडे और सम सच, राइट? Now comes A. A stands for attainable. Attainable basically realistic goals. So I decide that I want a body like Angelina Jolie and I give myself 1 month. In 1 month you have to become her. So that's not an attainable goal, And then what is going to happen is, if I'm not able to achieve it at the end of 1 month, I'm going to get frustrated, disappointed, and I'll go back to my old self. Go back to square one, basically.
Yes.
So your goal needs to be attainable, and so many times then you need to break down these goals into smaller goals, right? So then you can easily keep track of it. It also keeps it realistic. Instead of planning for something which you need to achieve after 6 months, chalk out a plan कि एक महीने में मुझे कितना progress दिखना चाहिए. So that helps me kind of keep a track of what progress I'm making, right? Then comes R for relevant. Relevant मतलब आपका जो भी गोल आप सेट कर रहे हैं वो it should be of personal importance to you, right? So maybe you've gone to your doctor at the end of last year and उन्होंने आपको बोला है कि okay, health wise you're not doing well, तो you need to get fitter, right? Or you need to lose weight. अब अगर ये गोल मेरे लिए पर्सनली रेलेवेंट नहीं है, सो देन देयर इज लेस चांस कि मैं इसकी तरफ मेहनत लूंगी और आई वर्क हार्ड फॉर इट. सो व्हाट आई नीड टू डू इज आई नीड टू काइंड ऑफ set another goal which is relevant for me. For example, maybe I can set a goal which says I need more energy to play with my kids. So how do I develop that? Or I want to get back into the clothes that I was wearing 10 years back. So then how do I go about that? So जो भी आप गोल सेट कर रहे हैं वो पर्सनली रेलेवेंट होना चाहिए, नहीं तो आपकी उसकी तरफ मेहनत ऑटोमेटिकली कम हो जाएगी, राइट? And also the method which you are choosing to follow the goal. So suppose your friend has gone vegan and then you decide that I want to go vegan too. But if you're not enjoying the vegan food at all, then there's very less chance that in the long run you will be able to stick with it and bring about any sustainable changes. It might be relevant to a friend, but it's not necessary that it will be relevant for you also. So it has to be something that is of personal importance, something that you enjoy, something that you do in the long run, right? And the last alphabet T starts for time bound. So again, give yourself shorter deadlines or time zones where you can monitor yourself. So if suppose you've set a limit of, I want to suppose lose 3 kgs over the next 2 months, right? So then break it down to I want to lose 1.5 kgs in a month. And then you kind of at the end of 1 month, 2 months, see where your progress is, see how much you've lost. And then accordingly, you can modify what you have been doing to lose weight, and at what pace you have been losing weight. So I think, the right way to go about goal setting. This is how you're supposed to set your goals so that it's basically sustainable. A couple of other tips would be that once you set a goal, share it with others. Because once you share it with others, it kind of creates that pressure on you and then it becomes difficult to give up on it. Because then next time you meet other people, they'll be like, "Arey, tu to wo kar rahi thi, kya hua uska?" There's a little bit of a pressure on you to kind of stick through with it.
Healthy pressure.
And, yeah. And then write it down so that you can go back and review and, modify things as you go.
So what I understand is कि when you're planning a goal, you should actually first have a long-term goal and then break it into short-term goals which you can
Correct.
account for. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes,
then write it down. I guess writing down is what you were emphasizing, that everything should be written and you should keep a track of it. So you can
yes,
use apps or notebooks also. One more thing that you said was that you have to be practical about setting a goal. Just coming going कि Jan 1st है चलो अब मैं ये we have to lose 20 kgs in a month. So that is not something which is practical. So
right,
that's one
correct.
thing that is important. That realistic is important. But tell me नेहा कि normally goal तो सब set करते हैं, ठीक है, थोड़ा बहुत action plan भी करते हैं, start भी करते हैं, but इसको कैसे ऑन कैसे रखे? एक तो ट्रैकिंग हो गया कि ट्रैक करो.
Yeah, right. And another thing which I feel is important is that थोड़ा fluidity रहना important है, in the sense if you some people are just too goal oriented कि if it's all or nothing, ये नहीं
या
किया तो फिर पूरा ही छोड़ दो. It shouldn't
हाँ.
be like that. There should be some fluidity, some room for adjustment. If you set a goal and along the way you realize, okay, I'm not able to reach this, so you should be able to recalibrate it.
ओके.
वहां तक 100% नहीं जा पा रहे हैं, but even if you are able to reach there 70%, even that is fine. That is better than just throwing in the towel and going back to square one and being at 0%. So I think some fluidity is important so that it keeps you going. Because like I said, if the goal is, you set it, but अगर करते करते if you feel कि unattainable है goal, then better than completely giving up on it, recalibrate, come back,
ओके.
rethink. Feel I've started Zumba, I feel I don't have the energy to do Zumba 4 days a week, then maybe I can change it to Zumba twice a week and walks twice a week.
या.
So there should be better there's room for calibration.
So I think assessing yourself throughout the way, tracking yourself,
Yes,
and then
right.
being considerate for yourself also. जरूरी नहीं है कि like you said कि if a friend is doing Zumba 4 times a week, it is not necessary that even I would be able to do it.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So personalizing, I think, is very important throughout the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Even with diet, what happens is people think, now we have gone for a holiday. तो एक बार holiday पे चले गए, diet mess up हो गई, so forget it. अब हम छोड़ देते हैं. But the
Right,
more important thing that I usually tell people is it is not that you went off track. It is important that you come back again to the diet once you're back into your routine.
right, right. Why things don't work out, right?
Yes.
There are like a lot of reasons why these plans fail. So I think these reasons are also important to acknowledge. I think इसमें सबसे common we could say it's lack of willpower, right? Everybody
Yeah.
makes decisions, but what you really need is willpower and a lot of strength to be able to stick to them for a reasonable amount of time. So we are in an age of instant gratification. Everything is at our fingertips. Everything is 5G. Everything is 4G, and everything is instant. Unfortunately, health goals and fitness goals is not one of them. There's nothing instant about them. They require sheer perseveration, hard work, and just going back at it again and again, even after setbacks. So I think one important reason why plans don't always follow through is because of lack of willpower, that you're not able to continue with whatever you started. That's one big thing. Another important thing is there's a lot of people don't have a good support structure to structure to kind of support their plans. Like if you decide that you want to go on a particular diet, but you are living in a city, staying by yourself, and you don't have the time to kind of prep for your meals in advance. तो ऐसे केस में अगर आप बहुत fancy and lofty aims रखते हो, बहुत exotic चीजें अपने daily menu में रखते हो, तो you're not going to be able to follow through on it. Versus a friend or a colleague who's maybe got his or her mom staying with her, wife staying with them, who help them with all these background works and supplementary things. So if they have a better support structure, they are more likely to follow through on their plans. And also a lot of times we have these certain negative elements in our life, who'll always keep questioning, अरे ये क्या करने की जरूरत है, अरे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, you're going out, अरे खा ले आज के चिकन खा ले, कुछ नहीं होगा. So even that moral support sometimes is very essential to kind of, follow through on whatever plans
Yes.
you're making. I think that is important.
Mm.
Then, of course, we spoke about unrealistic expectations. That if you have
Yes.
unrealistic expectations, that is also setting yourself up for failure because
Mm.
you want apps like Hrithik Roshan and you want them in 3 months. It's not going to happen. If you give yourself
Mm.
3 years, it's a different thing. But in 3 months, they are not going to appear, and you're going to be disappointed and frustrated, and you're going to give up on what you're doing. So again, being
Mm.
very realistic about what you're expecting from your goals is very important.
So what happens
Yeah.
is like people start with a spurt कि मुझे आज से ये करना है. So they start avoiding few things. Like आज से हम बाहर नहीं खाएंगे. And once in a while अगर उन्होंने फिर बाहर खा लिया, so then there is a lot of guilt that they have. So
Right.
once that guilt is there is an emotional imbalance. So क्या होता है? Then because of disturbed emotions and the deprivation that they have done for themselves कि हमको नहीं खाना है बाहर, just avoiding one particular thing like a samosa or a pizza for a very long time. And then when they eat it, they have guilt. So this is actually a cycle. तो ये जो
Yeah.
cycle होता है इसमें there is deprivation and then there is binge eating, then there is emotional stress around it, and then again there is guilt that comes in the emotional stress, and again there is binge eating.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like a vicious cycle that
Yes.
sets.
So I think once they don't have realistic goals and they are too hard on themselves, like you said कि बहुत ज्यादा अगर अपने आप को बहुत stubborn रख लिया कि नहीं ये करना ही नहीं है, so then they get into these cycles.
Correct. And I might sound repetitive, but whatever goals हम set up कर रहे हैं, they have to be such that they help us set up long-term behavior changes. मतलब it's not just a matter of a New Year resolution or of January or February. It has to be something which you are going to be able to apply on the long run. Doesn't mean that you should be able to do it every single day, but maintain as long-term habits. So my husband did consult you, say 7-8 years back, and he did a few sessions with you wherein you explained to him how his diet should be, of course, very tailor-made to environment. And I think he saw you on one occasion 7-8 times, but then he still follows almost 50-60% of what you told him back then, even till date. Like what sort of food combinations are okay, or for him, what sort of things are okay, not okay. So these are the kind of long-term changes I'm talking about. See, if he's met you then years back, and if
Yes.
he's able to follow you on 50-60% of what you told him that time. So that tells us that whatever you told him was something that was sustainable, B, something that was relevant, and C, something which he could continue for a long term, and it did bring him a lot of benefits.
Okay. In fact, today there was a research paper that I was going through. So it said it does not depend upon what type of diet you're taking. Like, there are diets which are very low in protein or high in protein. There are diets which are low fat or high fat. So it is what actually matters in weight loss. This is a 12-month-old Canadian study. So what actually matters in weight loss is the calorie intake plus how sustainable the diet is and how long term you follow it. So these are the only two factors they found that would actually help in weight loss, maintaining that weight loss. So doing something sustainable and something that suits your body, that is more important, which is relevant to you, not to others.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Because we have these clients who have gone on these fad diets, these juice cleanses, or there's so many fad diets nowadays, and it's like you are shocking your body into something, and after the initial shock, the body recovers with a vengeance and it goes back to what it was, or even maybe worse than what it was. And the similar thing with crash dieting, कि शादी है घर में एंड 6 हफ्ते में 10 किलो वजन कम कर लिया, 15 किलो वजन कम कर लिया, हॉलिडे पे जाना है, लॉस्ट 3 kgs in 10 days, and then what after that? I mean, then it just goes back to zero. It just it's like a rubber band. You stretch very swiftly, you go back to where you started from. So these things are not sustainable at all. So they are not good goals to set.
So I think what you said initially was long-term goal. That is what you should keep in mind, and then accordingly break it up into tasks, into an action plan, and then
Right.
go ahead with the achieving those goals. And
Right.
I think
Right.
some you did mention time bound. So how should you actually set that time? Where do you
Right.
limit that time?
Right. So now actually it depends on what sort of a goal you're setting, but usually like 8 to 10 weeks is a good benchmark to set in terms of
Mm,
the sustainability of any activity that you're doing. If you are able to continue that activity for about 8, 10 weeks, which is roughly 2 months, then
mm,
and those 2 months, if you feel that you've been able to do it reasonably, follow through with it reasonably, then you can accordingly continue it. But if you feel
mm,
that whatever you've been doing, you've not been able to do it, like if you've been very
yeah.
irregular with it, or you've just
Mm,
not you completely stop doing it, then you definitely need to rethink what you were doing till that point of time and accordingly change it. And then,
yeah.
of course,
Being
like
flexible.
after that, every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you need to keep taking stock of where you are at, where you've reached. Have you reached a
Mm,
point where you expected to be? If not, why not? And then how to get to the point where you want to be.
yes.
So it's a very fluid, very dynamic process. It's a very changing graph. And
Mm.
it's not going to be linear. Like you always need to be prepared for do kadam aage, ek kadam piche. It's not
Ah,
going to be all smooth progress.
yes. So I think health is more about not reaching a goal, but enjoying that journey towards your goal and
Yeah,
maintaining that goal. So जो हम बोलते हैं
absolutely,
कि
absolutely.
10 kgs down and that would be it. That is not it actually with health and fitness. So it's a
Right.
continuous
Totally.
process. Hmm.
Since I'm on this platform with you, I think I would just want to add one thing that for so many people, they don't have a good understanding of what nutrition is. Food is
Yes.
just so much more than something to fill your tummy and,
Yes.
sustain you through the day. There's just so many roles that nutrition plays in our life, like right from our mental health to our physical health to our appearance to how long we live,
Hmm.
so
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
nutrition and food, they play such major roles in our life. So I feel like telling anybody who wants to, I won't even use the word diet. I'll just say change their nutritional habits. I think it's just to get a good knowledge about what the basics of nutrition are. Because till you have a hang of that, you will not be able to make a change in any direction. And the
Yes.
lack of knowledge about nutrition is astounding.
Hmm.
There's so many misconceptions about food, about nutrition, about your body's needs. And unfortunately, most people try to make changes to their diet without consulting a professional first. If you go to a
Yes.
professional, you don't need to worry. But अगर आप खुद से ही changes करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, then at least make sure that you have a good understanding of what you're doing before you proceed to do it. Otherwise, it does more harm than good.
Yes. So actually food plays a lot of important role. Like, there's emotional needs that food fulfills.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are social needs that food fulfills. So there are a lot of aspects to food that you rightly said.
Right.
Yes. So that is really important. And of course, one last message that I would really like to give in the New Year thing today is do not crash diet. It's okay if you will take time to lose weight. It is okay if you cannot do it right now. But crash dieting is more harmful than actually not losing weight. So if you
Absolutely.
deprive yourself of nutrition and food, your health is under harm. So weight is not health. So do not crash diet. Okay. Thank you so much, Neha, for being
Thank
here.
you. Thanks for having me here. Thanks a
Yes.
lot, Sneha.
Also, would you like to tell something about the institute you're in and uh, about
Right.
yourself? Yes.
Yes. So I am a consultant psychiatrist and I work with Dr. Sudhir Bhave, and we recently shifted to our new institute called the Bhave Institute of Mental Health, which where we have expanded a lot on the front of providing psychotherapy services, counseling services, and we have done a lot of work in the area of child and adolescent psychiatry. So we have on board with us. Special educators, speech therapists,
Mhm.
occupational therapists,
Mhm.
remedial trainers, psychologists who are specialized in children and adolescents. So, and that is about me and the place that I'm working at. And it's always great to be on a platform like this where, it's a chance to interact with different experts. So, gives us a way also to increase our knowledge.
Yes,
So
and
thank you
there's
for
so many
having me.
times we are not able to tell everything around to every client that we meet. So this is a platform where you can
Right.
speak to lot many people.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Neha, for joining us today, taking out your time.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot, Sneha. Thank you. Bye bye.